Good evening, everyone, and welcome to what should be another fascinating evening here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show is, as it is every night, proudly brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware. And they are all set for spring and everything that goes with spring, which includes getting out your dump trunk, your dump truck, and your front end loader and loading up on mulch and topsoil, mulch of different colors, whatever it is you need to get your yard in tip-top shape. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, 631-756-1125 is the telephone number, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. And when you're done with your outdoor landscaping, you can think about wholesale holiday lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your decorating needs. I know we're a long way from Christmas, but just putting that thought in your head for down the road. And we also have holiday stuff. Well, we just had St. Patrick's Day, and Halloween will eventually be here too. So Giannini has that all covered. They are at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, 631-957-5106. And the website is liholidaylighting.com. And front and center, Mr. Rayo, we'll just go right to the map here. We have severe weather risk tonight for Texas, for central and northeastern Texas, an enhanced risk and a slight risk that extends across Arkansas into northwestern Mississippi, and a larger area of marginal risk. But the big area, a week ago, almost to the day, we were sitting with a high risk of severe weather in this area, this same area, and the Storm Prediction Center has a moderate risk for the northern half of Mississippi and northwestern Alabama, southern Tennessee. Joe, they could go to a high risk. They indicated in their one of their discussions today. They may have a small area of high risk for tomorrow. This could be another widespread regional outbreak in the Deep South. And last week's produced, I think, more than 24 tornadoes. I think the number was 30. I don't know if they're going to hit that number this time around, but certainly the risk is going to be there for tornadic activity, no question.
Kind of amazing considering that you don't see high risk very often. In fact, it was a very long time since either one of us saw a high risk last week. And here we are now talking about a broad area of moderate risk and the potential for the second time in a week of a high risk tomorrow in virtually the same places. So it is going to be another rough go down across the Tennessee and Mississippi River valleys over the next 24 to 48 hours. Again, this weather front, this cold front, going to sweep on through and sweep with it, the potential for violent thunderstorm activity, large hail, straight line winds, and again, that potential too of tornadic activity as well, Joe.
15%, by the way, 15% probability of a tornado within 25 miles of any point in that hatched area, and in the enhanced risk area on the outside in yellow, there's a 10% chance, and the slight risk of 5% and 2% all the way up into Ohio and West Virginia. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this all plays out. Before we get to that, however, I'm going to come back full screen here for a moment, just the two of us. And we've got some rain going on tonight, and kind of funny for some places in our own local area, eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, including Philadelphia, New York City, Long Island, and the Hudson Valley. I have not seen a drop of it, and it's been over New Jersey. From Delaware, from the Delmarva Peninsula up through New Jersey, it's been raining pretty much for much of the day. I haven't seen a drop. Have you gotten into anything yet?
Oh, yes. Yeah. In fact, it put an end to our, my wife and I, we were chopping down with both the loper and the chainsaw uh, sumac trees as high as 10 to 15 feet on the side of the house. These are big tree. These are trees that spawn weeds basically. And if you don't get them now and you let them go until late spring or summer, you're dead because these are the extent of these trees and the vines and everything. It's horrible. So we figured we'd get at them now, but 12:15 this afternoon, we had to put an end to it because the first raindrops fell. I don't know how much. I know a couple hours ago, Joe, we logged about a tenth of an inch, but it was also from time to time coming down somewhat steadily, and we probably have picked up a bit more. But I can't believe that you haven't seen a single drop yet.
Not a drop, not a flake, not an ice pellet, nothing, zero.
Amazing.
We had breaks of sun here until early afternoon.
Well, we had sun too. We had some breaks of hazy sun. Let me describe it in a manner that is best to give you an idea. There were times during this afternoon where it looked like the sun was being viewed through a jar of Hellman's mayonnaise. That's basically the kind of sun that we had, with a little bit of gray mixed in, gray poupon. But
As opposed to Gouldens.
would you love to see that on a Circuit A teletype reading, giving you the idea of what the sky cover is or a description of the sky? But that's basically how it was during this afternoon, and looking out right now, it just looks like it's all cloudy and gray right now. So probably we're going to be dealing with more of this, more of the wet stuff at least, I think, for the next several hours before we begin to see any kind of drying take place after midnight toward daybreak tomorrow morning.
All right, don't answer this question yet, but Paul Roman on the chat board earlier, let's save this for when we're done with the weather stuff. He asked, what is a space hurricane? Do you know the answer to
Please. Oh, please.
Okay. All right, hold it. Don't answer it now. Let's we'll do it later. David Fuller, an early super chat hitter. Thank you, David. Most appreciated here. And Joe Rayo, of course, will be monitoring the chat board. And if you feel inspired, by the way, you have sharing privileges. So just let me know if you feel so inspired that you would want to share something. And also, Johnny Quest. I know they said his birthday. He mentioned a happy birthday to him yesterday. So we're going to mention a second happy birthday to Johnny Quest today. Just briefly looking at the chat board, I'm not 100% sure if the birthday was yesterday or today, but either way, I am officially extending Johnny Quest's birthday to a celebration to a second day. So we just wanted to make that known out there to the public. All right, so let's go back to what's going on weather-wise. I'm going to bring up the U.S. satellite, and this. By the way, the rain that we're seeing here tonight, if you look on the satellite, it's hard to see it now, but if just think back to yesterday, we had that swirl off the North Carolina coast. That basically got absorbed, and Joe, that wound up really enhancing the rain activity that has been going on, and now it's kind of merged up with this little frontal boundary, I guess, if you want to call it. It's kind of a weakening front that's moving eastward, but it's got a rather identifiable feature here on the satellite. It's finally starting to move away to the northeast. So I may eventually get into some of that rain.
It looks like it's, according to the analysis, the latest surface analysis from NOAA, that this thing is somewhere around the Delmarva Peninsula. And if you follow it along based upon model forecasts that I'm just looking at right now, the center of this curlicue in the atmosphere is going to be almost due south of New York by about 50 miles by 2 o'clock in the morning. By tomorrow morning, it's just, I don't know what you would want to call it, just a large mass of disorganized cloud and rain east of Long Island, south of Cape Cod, and it pretty well is gone, I think, by mid and late afternoon tomorrow. But it's enough, as you just mentioned, Joe, it's enough to enhance or augment whatever moisture is coming in from off of the ocean to provide a period of steady and in some cases maybe moderate rain activity. And yeah, you're right. As this thing pulls away to the north and east, you too, you too, Joe, may actually see some raindrops
I
here
may. You never know.
by later this evening or overnight tonight.
Meanwhile, in back around in Texas, we're starting to see the cloud tops starting to shoot up there in Texas, and that is some of the severe weather that's going on tonight, getting pretty obvious there on the loop. Also, if you just follow along what's going on in just based on the satellite alone, this is the upper trough. Actually, I drew that wrong. Let me just correct that. So here, this is the upper trough that is swinging around, that is going to be producing this severe weather, and the surface low is going to wind up turning northeastward and moving up just east of the Mississippi during the day tomorrow and tomorrow night. And right behind it in the Pacific Northwest, there's more energy that is coming in. So all the busy weather really has been in the western part of the United States, where we have, in general, troughing there. But we're getting this rain here once again for what seems like the umpteenth time, getting a system moving in a ridge position. I mean, when you think about it, if it wasn't for this swirl that was off the North Carolina coast, enhancing the moisture field over us, we probably could have stayed dry into tomorrow until this mess finally moves far enough eastward. Whoops. Oh, did that a little bit too fast. Let's try this again. So this is our system here for tomorrow. Again, if it wasn't for the fact of that little surface low that formed off North Carolina, we probably would have had a decent day today. But
Right.
that was not to be.
Well, tomorrow will be a semi decent day, I guess, after we start off the day with clouds. Now, this again is for the immediate New York City tri state area. Start off with clouds, low clouds, maybe some areas of fog. That should slowly burn off during the course of the morning. And by the afternoon, some sunshine. And with enough sunshine, Joe, and with the much higher sun angle, as opposed to, let's say, about a few weeks ago, we could very easily see temperatures close to or maybe even above 70 degrees tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a shocker at all. Just looking at the U.S. radar, courtesy of UCAR, starting to see some cells firing up back through Texas in that risk zone. Also, some showers in southern Mississippi, and a few heavier downpours there into southeast Louisiana. Of course, you see our rain here in the northeast. This is a 3-hour loop, so finally, this back edge has made progress now almost to the western New Jersey line as of 7:45 Eastern time. I don't see any. There's no thunderstorms embedded in here, but in some of the yellows that you see here, certainly some heavier downpours. There were a few flood advisories that went up for parts of New Jersey late this afternoon and this evening. We've got some precip going on at the moment, well up into Michigan and in northeastern Minnesota. Also seeing some precip back in parts of western Kansas, and down in New Mexico, and a little bit of scattered activity at the moment up in the Pacific Northwest and in the northern Rockies. High wind watches are posted for Thursday night and Friday for much of Ohio, eastern Indiana, western Pennsylvania, and western New York. We also have dense fog advisories tonight from Delaware on up to about New York City. At least they've just gone up. And a lot of that's because of all that rain that fell there today. Flash flood watches in central Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Georgia, also in southern Alabama, but not in between, southern Mississippi and southeastern Louisiana. I think some of this winds up getting filled in. And in the purple and yellow, we have a working severe thunderstorm watch as of 7:47 in northern Texas, and a tornado watch up a little bit further south and west of that severe thunderstorm watch area. Wind advisories in the southwest, a scattering of winter weather advisories in a few counties in southern Colorado, parts of New Mexico, on up into Idaho, and further, and also up into parts of Oregon and Washington state. So let's go back to the Storm Prediction Center's risk for tomorrow. Moderate risk, and again, they've indicated that this could go to a high risk. So the cities include, by the way, in the moderate risk: Memphis, Nashville, Birmingham, Jackson, Mississippi, Huntsville, Alabama. In the enhanced area, we can add Clarksville, Tennessee, Jonesboro, Arkansas, Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I've been to Bowling Green, Kentucky, Greenville, Mississippi, and Cleveland, Tennessee, which is actually not too far from where I am. It's about 40 or so miles from where I am in northern Georgia. Rain is going to be an issue too out of this with all this convection. Seeing 3 to 5 inches of rain over the next 7 days on WPC's 7-day rainfall forecast map. Also, a lot of rain, liquid precip in upstate New York. A little band of 2 to 3 inches east of Lake Ontario, and otherwise 1.5 inches or more. Northern New York State, Vermont, Bill Rogers Country, central and northern New Hampshire, and some heavy precip. Several inches possible in parts of northern Maine. Some of that's going to be snow. Rockies still producing precip, mostly on the light side, but there are a few patches of melted precipitation of 1 inch or more, and also up into the Pacific Northwest. And for the snow lovers, that's where the probabilities are highest. For I have the map up here showing at least 2 inches, covering much of the Rockies, and there are some pockets that are going to get more than that, but we don't have anything too extreme. And in the east, for the first time in a while, excuse me, northern Maine getting a shot of some snow here of at least 2 inches. So Caribou may add to its seasonal total as it tries to pass Binghamton for the highest snow amount in the Northeast. Binghamton.
That'll be for when? That'll be for Palm Sunday, right? Or
this is ending Saturday night. So this goes through Saturday night. Does not include Sunday.
Okay, all right, yeah. So if winter is not over, if you go way north into northern New England, but hey, look, I may have to travel to Caribou to get my 1.4 inches.
And then, yeah, true. And then you have to bring it back and keep it intact and put it on the snowboard so that the observer at the
Central
Park,
the conservatory or whatever it is,
correct.
Conservatory, whatever. At least, or actually, if it was the old days, I'd just put it on top of the roof of a car, and eventually Gunther Reese or somebody, Tom Morgan, will come along with with a ruler and stick it in there. All right, there it is. So 1.4.
Back to the land of the severe weather. I pulled up the dew points for 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Joe, in that whole zone. Dew points really juicy here. We're talking temperatures that are going to be in the upper 70s and low 80s, but dew points are going to be running in the upper 60s to around 70. And those 60-degree dew points actually push all the way up into Kentucky, and that's probably the reason why they've got the slight risk going as far north as they have it. So this is certainly going to be juiced up air. You take a look. I've got the NAM model view of all of this, and of course we could start this off by looking at the rain that's here in the Northeast, and of course it just that rain area slowly begins to weaken and move away, and then of course you see that low down in Texas that fires up, and you start to see convection there developing during the day tomorrow. The NAM's not especially bullish here in terms of its look on the radar, but it's going to be, it is deceiving sometimes with these models when it comes to the convective stuff. Even the small scale models oftentimes don't really pick up the convection too well in certain situations. I think this may be one of those cases, though the NAM does have a decent looking squall line when the low tomorrow evening at about 9 o'clock is in southern Indiana near Evansville, and there's a trailing line that goes down into northern Mississippi. So SPC's banking on this becoming more impressive than indicated. And we've got a couple of showers here that come through tomorrow night into Friday morning. A few
That'll
showers.
Be the warm front.
Right, the warm front here. Right. You just see the warm front's right about there. Your cold front is right here. Back in the lower Ohio Valley down to Louisiana. The warm front extends from northern Ohio down to southern New Jersey. This is at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. And of course, that lifts up to the north. We get the cold front come through, and then the gradient again on Friday, Joe, is pretty tight. So it's going to be Friday's going to be a warm day. I think we could see temperatures in some places get well up into the 70s. I don't know if it'll make it that warm into New York City, but just south and west of New York City, I think we could see temperatures in the middle to upper 70s on Friday.
No, no question about that. In fact, once that cold front comes through Friday morning, probably will be coming through before, let's say, 10 or 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, then it's going to be, as you just mentioned, that strong gradient. It's going to be up to the gradient, that gusty, strong west southwesterly wind, to blow out whatever is left of cloud cover or low level moisture. And once the sun comes out, I agree with you. We may very well see temperatures from New York City on south and west. It's those temperatures by mid and late afternoon on Friday could very well take a run at 80 degrees.
Yeah,
Yes, that's what I'm saying. 80 degrees.
and
That's from
and
that's
with,
from the guy. That's from the guy who's still waiting for his 1.4 inches of snow. But I think that's the case. And it won't be until Friday night when the upper level winds, which will be out of the northwest, kind of align with, or the surface winds align with the upper level winds and sweep down from the west and north, that we'll see a shot of much cooler weather coming our way, probably as we move into the upcoming weekend. But we've got that one big surge of warm weather that may be headed our way for Friday afternoon.
by the way, the Weather Service is giving New York a high of 73. I don't know what the spot is just north of New York that they have 75 for, but 69 for Islip, 70 for Danbury, but Trenton 78, Philadelphia 79, Wilmington 79 in Delaware, Baltimore 78, Washington 79. Yeah, what it isn't too often that we see temperatures this warm and at the same time a screaming west southwest wind. But if you do that, and you do that in the month of March, and if you do have enough sunshine, what's going to stop it?
Yeah, that's it. In fact, what it is, it's going to be kind of a. See, I wish I was sitting in front of a white or a blackboard right now so I can draw this or give an explanation or whatever. But basically, during the afternoon on Friday, the upper levels are going to try to cool the atmosphere down, but meanwhile the warm layer is still going to be down by the surface, and so you're going to have kind of an upheaval or a mixing going on. And now you got the sun to add to all of that, which is only going to increase the mixing, and that's going to kind of cause the temperatures to reach a certain point and level off for a few hours. It could be in the mid or even the upper 70s. It might even come close to 80 in some of those urban centers, but we'll have to wait until nightfall, when, again, the alignment between the upper and the lower levels of the atmosphere swing the winds around to a west-northwest direction and start dropping the temperatures and putting us in a much cooler airflow as we get into Saturday and for Sunday. But for a few hours, for those of you who have been waiting for, quote, summer weather or summer temperatures, some of you may very well be dancing in the streets come Friday afternoon.
A little bit further south than that, in Virginia, in southeastern Virginia, into North Carolina, South Carolina, low and middle 80s, and almost near 90 when you get down into southeastern Georgia. And perhaps that and the lagging cold front might be the reason why the Storm Prediction Center for the day 3 outlook has a marginal risk of severe weather from southeastern Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, central Georgia, down into Alabama, and also some risk in northern Mississippi and in eastern Arkansas, northwestern Alabama as well. So they're holding, they did acknowledge, Joe, a little bit of risk here for severe weather on Friday. I know you mentioned it yesterday because they weren't really showing anything. They were saying predictability too low, so I guess they finally settled on the fact that there is predictability. And on their day 4 to 8 long range, they've got predictability too low for every day, day 4 through day 8. So starting on Saturday, starting from day 4, which is Saturday into Sunday, and then ending on day 8, which is next Wednesday into next Thursday, they have those 4 days all saying is predictability too low.
Well, we're in general thunderstorm coverage, and that's probably for the just before the cold front actually arrives here mid morning on Friday. And maybe they're thinking that there could be enough push, let's say, to produce a little bit of convection. I'm sure that if this front were a bit slower and if it were coming through mid to late afternoon, no question in my mind that we'd probably have a lot more than just general thunderstorm possibilities here. We would probably have more. And you know what? If something if something out in the Great Lakes area or down across the Ohio Valley, if there's something really pumped up from, let's say, Thursday night, and if it can hold together and move along with that ahead of that cold front, we could see a few pretty good rounds of lightning and thunder here on maybe not severe, but that would be for Friday morning. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. But I'm glad they at least mentioned the possibility of convection because again they didn't even have us in general thunderstorm coverage, SPC, Storm Prediction Center, that is, for Friday at all. And I was kind of scratching my head and saying, why? Why did you at least put something, maybe general? So they've agreed with me now, and they put general thunderstorms for Friday. Again, most likely in the morning, and we'll see how it all again pans out Thursday night to Friday for us.
The shortwave that's coming out of the southwest is a bit of a powerhouse. And when you look at it on the 10,000 foot level, the 700 millibar map, straight south-southwest flow, 50 to 60 knot winds at that level. Lots of jet streaks showing up on this particular map for Thursday morning. So no wonder that they're trying to decide whether they're going to go to a high risk or not. That there is a rather strong arm, that trough that swings eastward. In fact, the upper feature actually strengthens during the day tomorrow and tomorrow night as the upper low moves over St. Louis and then makes its way. That's a nice looking shortwave there Thursday night, sitting in central Indiana with that low. And yeah, Joe, I mean, you look at this on Friday morning, there's some pretty decent jet streaks that are approaching here, so I wouldn't be at all surprised. You can actually see, if you follow the wind profile there, you can actually see where the warm front is and the cold front. The warm front Thursday night sitting, pretty much right underneath these strong upper level winds that are moving across New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania, and into southeastern New York. And then, of course, you get the cold front by Friday morning, which is, right about there, getting ready to go through with its own a couple of solid jet streaks there, of 50 to 60 knots at the 700 millibar level. And the upper low is wrapped up to the north. So no wonder we're talking about, strong winds here. And again, if we get into that sunshine later in the day on Friday, we are going to see those temperatures shoot up. Now, I want to take a look. Just we didn't do much with this. I just want to bring up the upper air going into the long range, so we can dispel any nonsense going forward. No blocking. Upper low in southern Greenland, upper low that is sitting in just north of northwestern Canada. You see another one short wave, the one for Thursday, that is coming out of the southwest and moves to the Great Lakes and winds up going into Canada. A second trough that drops down for Sunday night into Monday. You see that swinging through the northeast, and then that lifts out, and guess what? Now the ridge builds in early next week. Into the middle part of next week before when yet another trough that approaches. Now, you do actually have, Joe, by the end of next week going into Easter weekend, a strong upper high that's forming near Iceland. So there's a little bit of blockiness that's popping up in that region, but it's not enough to displace cold air southward. The way everything else is lined up, the upper air profile in Canada is not what you want to see with regards to getting it cold in the east, because every time it's still allowing troughs to move through the east, and then as soon as each trough moves by, another ridge builds in. And okay, so when we get into around April, right after Easter Sunday, Joe, if you want to believe this, the GFS has a wrapped up upper low near Nova Scotia, and actually this would be a chilly look to things when we get going into the second week of April. Gets a
Right. Right. In
little
fact,
bit chilly here.
right about the 5th or 6th, and it's almost as if there was a pendulum effect, if you will. We've got the main upper low over the Maritimes, and there's like a secondary wave that's coming down, kind of like it elongates, if you will, on the upper level, and kind of like swings on down from Ontario and across New York State. It's a rather weird looking pattern, but yeah, it is a rather chilling type of setup for that time of the year, for the first week of April.
And by the way, up in the stratosphere, we haven't talked about this too much, but up in the stratosphere, this has been the case since the winter pattern that we had in February broke down. The upper low in the strat, we talked about back, if you remember back in January, we were talking about how weak the polar vortex was, and it stayed weak until we went into February, and then given the lag time during the month of February, especially the latter part of the month and going into the March, that polar vortex strengthened, and it actually remains still rather strong for this time of year, pinned up in the Arctic regions. It's not the kind of polar vortex breakdown that you would want to see if you were talking about a last gasp snow attempt in the Northeast. Particularly, I'm not talking about upstate New York or northern New England, because you're still in a position where you could probably find a way to get one last gasp of snow, or one or two last gasps of snow in the next several weeks. But for everybody else, particularly as you go further to the south, I've been stating that my view, it looks done to me, and I don't see anything that really takes away from that. Looking at what's going on at that level, up in the stratosphere.
You would need something you'd need everything to come together at the right spot, at the right moment, at the right time, to even get a shot at getting anything in terms of significant snowfall in any part of the Northeast in the coming days and weeks. Of course, we just mentioned that northern Maine up in Caribou, but of course those folks, they'll see snow until probably the end of April or the beginning of May. But for everybody else, it's going to be very, very difficult, if not impossible.
Johnny Quest says what you should do is borrow a snow gun from a ski resort, and you should be able to make that 1.4 inches in no time.
I'll bring the snow gun down to 79th Street and Central Park West.
Yeah, by all means. By the way, 68 likes so far, which on a whether this time of year folks aren't running to watch the Joe and Joe Weather Show, although shame on them, they should be. But thank you so much for hitting the like button, and if you like to take us over 100, Joe and I certainly would not object to that.
I'm not going to say anything against it.
What?
We've got 102 people watching and 76 likes. So 78 likes now. They're literally changing by the minute. So all we need is 22 more, Joe. And
right. We always like to get 100. WTS Weather says, do you think we could see maybe a wind advisory for Friday? I don't think it's impossible, especially if we're going to warm up well up into the 70s. There's going to be a ton of mixing going on. So the gradient is not, it's tight, but it's not crazy tight. But on the other hand, with all that heating in the atmosphere and that cold upper low that's going by just to our north, you got to wonder whether there could be some pretty interesting gusts along the way. So maybe they will put up a wind advisory.
Well, yeah, it's possible. I tell you, the bet. I'd put more of a bet if I had to bet on a wind advisory. I like Monday more than Friday, but you may be right with Friday too. We'll certainly have some strong, and this is going to be from the west southwesterly wind gusts, which really there'll be balmy breezes out there come Friday afternoon. No question about that.
Now, we should talk about Sunday too. Hang on one second. I just got to type. I got to type a message here. Okay. So let's go back to the GFS and take a look at Sunday. I'll put the map up on the screen in a moment.
In a momento.
In a moment, yes. See if the
And I would say again, I would say the winds are going to be active again from Friday afternoon, maybe on through Friday night, and even into early Saturday, Joe.
yeah.
Although the winds will be changing, they'll be west southwest probably Friday afternoon, but by the time we get to Saturday morning, they will have shifted over into the northwest. So there you go.
Right. So here's Friday night, low in southern Maine. You can see that snow up there in northern Maine. That actually spreads out during Friday night, and then the low pulls away. Saturday is going to be the better of the 2 weekend days because the next weather system is firing up there. You see one low up in northern Michigan. I think there might even be a severe weather risk Saturday night over parts of the lower Mississippi Valley and on up into Tennessee and Kentucky. And then we got another cold front on Sunday approaching. Looks like Sunday we're going to get into some showers, maybe even some heavier downpours. This front looks like it's got a little punch to it. And then on Monday, a wrapped up storm, but instead of sitting up in Nova Scotia, it's a little bit further north. So the gradient is tight Sunday night into Monday morning, but the tightest gradient is more to the northeast. So we'll see if the model comes back to its original idea of a tight gradient here Sunday night into Monday. Quick shot of chilly air that doesn't last more than a day. Then your high goes out east of Virginia. Back go the winds to the southwest. So we warm up probably starting on Tuesday of next week and lasting into Thursday before another cold front comes on through later on Thursday. That moves out. Then another shot of cold air that lasts for a day or two. And then that pulls out, high to the south, on and on and on it goes.
Yeah, well, Sunday, of course, an important day. It is Palm Sunday, and then next week, Easter week. Wasn't it just Christmas week a few weeks ago, Joe?
And pretty
This
soon,
year's going, Joe. It's going crazy this year.
and pretty soon you'll be saying on the 4th of July, wasn't it just Easter?
Yeah.
And then we'll be doing, and then we'll be doing Labor Day, and then before you know, we'll be through hurricane season, and it'll be how much, what's the winter going to be like, and Jingle Bells will be playing.
When do you think the first posting on social media will be about the first predictions about the winter of 2021, 2022? Maybe my next week.
Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. Oh, let's send lots of positive energy to Christina Pedia. She's, still in the hospital recovering from COVID and in a no AC, 80-degree floor. Why do they keep it so hot? I don't get it.
I don't understand.
I thrive in I shut the heat off wherever I go. I mean, even in the dead of winter, my thermostat's down at 62 or less, even 60. And I have to tell you, I rarely get sick during the wintertime. I sleep underneath my weighted 20-pound weighted comforter and a couple of other blankets on top, and a nice deep sleep, and you stay healthier that way. Some people keep their houses up at 73 or 74 or 5 in the wintertime. I don't know how you stand it.
No.
I really don't. But lots of positive energy to Christina Pedia, who's one of our regulars here.
Absolutely. And by the way, Joe, I see we're only 5 now away from 100. So hit that like button. What else can I say?
Yeah. Well, let's get those last 5. You have Briller Jeopardy, apparently. Scott sent it to you. The chairman sent it to you last Wednesday.
Yes.
So you have it. You have it.
Hang on. See your profile. I love this new methodology of getting to.
Don't even start me on that.
The new and improved version of.
But you know what happened is when they did that, I know you don't use them, but there's a whole bunch of publisher tools that Facebook has for people like me who, publish on websites and so on, and a few other things. Everything else broke, okay, uh, and it's taken them the better part of the last 2 weeks to fix these things, one by one, piece by piece, inch by inch. And of course, when they break, the first thing I think of, is that, okay, what am I doing that's wrong? And I waste all this time trying to eliminate the possibility that it's something on my end, and then I realize it's on their end. And of course, you message them. Although I'll tell you a funny thing, Joe, while you're looking for the questions. So I got so frustrated over the fact that one of these tools that I use was broken that I put out a tweet on Twitter that said basically,
It stinks.
yeah, exactly, and that your tool isn't working. This one specific tool is not working, and of course, you have no desire to fix it. I kid you not, Joe. Right after I sent that tweet, coincidence? I'm sure it was, but I sent that tweet, and about not even 5 minutes later, I went to the tool and it was working.
Lovely. Fantastic.
So I made, I tweeted it to them, to Facebook. I know they read stuff when people tag them, but I can't imagine it was my tweet. I would like to think at some level it was my doing. But anyway, this is what happens when they try to make something good. They put out a broken, basically a broken product, and then fix it along the way.
You heard the old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So there you go. You were squeaking and they greased you.
Yes, exactly. Okay,
So here
you've got the space hurricane, and then we'll do Briller Jeopardy.
this is just like this goes with supermoon and blood moon, and instead of bombogenesis, we now have bomb cyclone or whatever. So up in the polar regions, it's actually shaped usually like an oval around the poles, and if you're underneath that oval, you will see the northern lights. And in some cases, like let's say in Norway, that oval is in the vicinity 200 days out of the year, so you're always seeing, most often, northern lights. So apparently, what had happened is that instead of an oval, we happen to have an area of plasma that formed. Looks every bit on the special satellite pictures that they take. It looks every bit like a hurricane or like a cyclone. And somebody must have said, "Oh, look at that! It's a space hurricane." And now that's all over the internet. And it just so happens, as a matter of I'm not going to say coincidence, but just so happens that the area of plasma, the area of northern light activity, forms what looks to be on the satellite photos a hurricane or cyclone shape. And now everybody's saying, "Oh my goodness, what does that mean? Is that the space hurricane?" or something like that? And it means absolutely nothing. It's just like the regular occurrence of seeing an aurora in the polar regions, but except in this one case, for whatever reasons, the inexorable laws of physics, instead of making this the normal shape, which is like an oval, it came into the shape of a cyclone or a hurricane. And so now everybody's calling it the space hurricane, and everybody's saying, "What does this mean? Does this mean something? Does this mean that the atmosphere is changing?" And everything else? And it's total, complete, and utter big B dot big S dot. It's something for the mainstream media to get excited about now. And what else can I say?
In other words, it's another example of the media taking something to its natural Armageddon conclusion.
Yes, I'm aware of that. The executive producer is giving, but we can only fit so much into one show, dear. We haven't even gotten to Briller Jeopardy yet.
What is about the Santa Ana win?
The difference between a Chinook and a Santa Ana.
A Chinook and a Santa Ana. Well, you can
Yes.
you want to tackle that now? Go ahead.
Well, the Chinook winds, the Chinook winds, are nothing more than very vigorous or robust westerly winds that blow downslope from the Rocky Mountains. And when you have that situation, the air as it's coming downslope is warmed by compression effects. And so, if you happen to be in an area, and I've seen this happen. I was in Montana in 1979. It was 15 below zero when I got there. But then during the weekend that I was there, a Chinook wind kicked in. The temperature soared past the freezing mark up to like 40 degrees, blowing hard. And they called it the snow eater winds. And that's absolutely true because if you have a decent amount of snow on the ground and all of a sudden the winds shift downslope and again, due to compression, they warm and they heat the atmosphere up. That snow is going to go away real fast, and that is basically what a Chinook wind is. The Santa Ana winds is a wind that blows from the east and southeast. If you're in Southern California, for example, and you get that vigorous east-southeasterly wind, normally the winds come in from off of the cool Pacific Ocean, but a southeast or east wind for them in California is a wind coming in from the inland areas, the hot areas, the desert of Arizona, New Mexico, and now all of a sudden that heat is being forced or driven into Southern California, and you see temperatures, and even Central and Northern California, and the temperatures go up. They get that wind usually in late September or October. That's for California. That is the hottest time of the year. And that's when the temperatures in places like even San Francisco could soar to or even above 100 degrees. I got to tell you something, Joe. The majority of people who live in California, in San Francisco, don't have air conditioning.
Right. You don't need it, really.
You don't need it because you're constantly getting that wind off. In fact, in July,
You could have the
they
heat
used to
on.
have, yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. In fact, people who used to go to Candlestick Park, which was right by the bay, they used to give there were promotion nights where you would be given a cross, the Cruz de Candlestick, and that was a cross which told you that you were brave to come out to a night game at Candlestick Park because the temperatures in July sometimes were in the 50s at night. That bitter raw wind coming in from off of the bay. But in contrast, as I said, in September and October, when the winds turn around out of an east and southeast direction and drive in on the Santa Ana winds, that heat, temperatures could go even again in San Francisco in the 90s and even close to 100 degrees. And for a few days, even in San Francisco, you sweat.
Yeah.
and if you don't have an air conditioner, then you're wishing that wind would be coming in off of the bay to cool you off. So that's the difference between a Chinook wind, which again is basically during the wintertime in the Rockies, a downslope wind from the Rockies, which heats the atmosphere up, and the difference between that and a wind from the east-southeast across California. And I guess they call it the Santa Ana because I guess there's either a mountain range or a valley that's called Santa Ana, and that's the direction from where the winds come from. And it's a hot weather wind, which usually occurs again in the fall in September or October.
I think it blows
so there
down.
You go.
I think it blows right down what the canyon.
Right.
In that region. Actually, if you look at our weather on Friday with the west wind, the screaming west wind, and the downslope that occurs from
that's our version of the
that's
Santa
kind
Ana.
of our version of it. It sort of works on the similar idea,
Exactly.
similar principle. And candlestick, the candlestick idea in July. Just think of when we get into the gloom and doom out here in the Northeast during the months of April into early May. And pretend it's sitting out. You're at Yankee or Yankee Stadium or Citi Field, and think about that in July. That's what it's like in San Francisco.
Exactly, and in fact, you remind me of. I think about 5 years ago, I was Renata and I were at Citi Field with our son, our daughter-in-law, not yet our daughter-in-law, and her parents. And we went. I think it was a Yankee Met game. It may have been a Yankee Met game, but it was in May. It was in the 50s. I got to tell you, Joe, the line to get hot chocolate that night was about as long as. I mean, it was brutal. And I thought about that what you just said because I think I told Renata, I said this is what it's like in San Francisco at the old Candlestick Park. when the Giants used to play out there. You don't want to be out there for very
No.
long.
The chairman hitting super chat tonight. Thank you, Scott. As always, voting for the Joe Rayo old audio tapes of doing weather. So that's a project that you're working on.
I could do that if you want. We could play that on Friday. Oh, wait a minute. We're not. We won't be on Friday.
No, maybe we save it for Sunday.
We could do it for Sunday.
Okay.
We'll do it for Sunday. Some very funny, not funny. And I'm not the only one. Joe, you were broadcasting 30, 40 years ago as well.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe if I could find, I don't know if I can find that between now and Sunday, but if I can dig up your famous KW035 night before the blizzard of 80.
I have that. I have that saved in so many different places. The problem is I don't remember any of the places that I saved them in. So,
you made me the happiest man on earth. That was when I was really a big snow weenie or snow lover, and when I heard you do that broadcast last night, and you were reading a script that was written to you. Let me see if I can remember. Joe Harrison was the guy who wrote the script, and you read that, right?
Yeah, great guy. And yeah, that was an incredible discussion that he wrote.
Here's where you got my mouth salivating because 17 days earlier we had the unexpected snowstorm, the one that was supposed to be mostly rain but stayed all snow and dropped like 15 or 20 inches on us.
Right.
And in the script that you were reading from Joe Harrison 17 days later for the blizzard of 78, you said if the storm reaches only part of its potential, it'll easily match the storm of last January 20th. And when you said that, my mouth went, ugh.
Yeah. By the way, we got our 100 likes.
Yes.
Mr. Ruben Fairchild on the chat board wants to know what Candlestick is. And
Candlestick Park, that's where the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, and I believe the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers, played at this when the Giants moved out of New York to go to San Francisco, they were going to go first into an old stadium that had been there for many years called Seals Stadium. But the people who were trying to sell Horace Stoneham, who owned the Giants and the New York Giants, when they were trying to sell him on San Francisco would be a wonderful place for you to play baseball, and they showed him the waterfront of San Francisco.
he didn't show him
by the bay.
He didn't tell him the water temperatures, did he?
No, they didn't tell him anything about that. They just said, "Wouldn't this be beautiful to build a ballpark right here?" And Horace Stoneham said, "Yeah, build it," and of course they did, unknowing the fact that the nights would be so frigid in July, and also unknowing about the fact that the winds went crazy after about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The wind just blew everything all over the place at Candlestick Park. So that's why when they played double headers in San Francisco, instead of starting at 1 or 2 o'clock, they always started at noon. So they said, at least we'll get the first game in without having to worry about the wind. So that's that park. I don't know if that park exists anymore.
It was very hard to hit a home run in that park.
Absolutely. It was a terrible place to play baseball, and that's why the Giants now play in their brand new what do they call it now? Pac Bell Park, I think. And they have a big they're people who actually they camp out in their boats just outside of right field. They call it McCovey Cove or whatever, but it has nothing to do with what Candlestick had. Let's get to Briller Jeopardy here.
Yes, please.
This is we have tonight, courtesy of Mr. Our chairman, Scott Briller. Category is state capitals. Question 1 and 2. More state capitals begin with the letters S and the letter C. In fact, there are 6 capitals each, 6 with C, 6 with S. Can you name the C and S capitals?
No.
Come on, Joe.
No, I can't.
Bugs Bunny gave you one of them in one of those cartoons. Who, me?
Well,
I know lots of things.
Well, I know it's not Cucamonga.
No.
Okay, so this is different because you're asking naming. If you gave me the state, I could give you the capital. Now I'm trying to run.
Okay.
I'm running my head through all of this, and I'm trying to think. Okay, which this S capitals, and like I'm drawing a complete blank. And I know my geography pretty well too. So
You want me to give you the states? And
yeah,
let's see
you
if
know what?
can-
Joe, I'm 62.
This is much
I'm
better.
62. My brain's like jello
This
right
is
now.
much better. I'll start right off with the Bugs Bunny question. Blah 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 is the capital of Nevada.
What? I'm sorry. Say that again. Carson City,
Carson City, correct. How about South Carolina?
Columbia.
No.
Wait.
I would
I'm
have said
sorry.
Columbia too.
C or an S?
This would be the well. Now I'm really giving it to you. I mean, these are the C. All right, these are the C capitals. South Carolina.
Oh, Charleston.
Okay. How about Wyoming?
Cheyenne. Casper.
Okay.
No, Cheyenne. Okay, I got it
No,
right.
it's Cheyenne.
Okay.
Yes, yes. How about New Hampshire?
New Hampshire is Concord.
Okay.
And by the way,
about-
if you haven't ever been to Concord, New Hampshire, it's a beautiful state capital. There's a lot of history there. If you're into that, that's the place to go to.
Right. How about Ohio?
Ohio is Columbus.
Okay. Now here's one. See, now I would have thought that South Carolina was this capital, but to tell you the honest truth, I don't know what the state is that goes along with this name. But you said it already for South Carolina.
Oh,
Columbia, but what is Columbia?
Columbia.
What state?
It's not. Is it? No. Is it Missouri?
Could it be Columbia, Missouri? I guess Columbia, Missouri.
Missouri?
It sounds right.
Okay.
I don't think it's St. Louis.
No, I think it's Missouri.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And now for the S's, how about California?
Oh, Sacramento.
Right. And nice tomato juice too. Minnesota.
Minnesota is St. Paul.
Okay. Oregon.
Salem.
Right. A cigarette too. Utah. I have Utah.
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City. New Mexico.
Santa Fe.
And Illinois.
Springfield.
Springfield. Is that where Homer Simpson lives? I
Yeah.
don't know. All right.
That wasn't.
Question 3.
Go ahead.
That was it. Question 3. What state capital has the most letters? Hint. They have 13, and they average 13 inches of snow each winter.
Oh.
Now, what kind of a hint is that, Scott?
Okay, hold on. I'm kind of like running my head through this. It has 13 letters.
Wait a minute. We were wrong, Joe.
So is Columbia then?
We were wrong. It was not Columbia, Missouri, because this next one is the capital of Missouri. So what is Columbia? Which state capital is Columbia?
Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank here. East or west? East of the Mississippi or west of the Mississippi?
No, well, I've already given you I've already told you what it is. This particular capital is the capital of Missouri, but we just said that the capital of Missouri is Columbia, but that's wrong because the answer to this question, with 13 letters and 13 inches of snow, is the capital of Missouri. But it wasn't Columbia. Oh, wait a minute. So you were right to begin with. Joe, were right. You were right to begin with. Columbia is the capital of South Carolina. Mr. Briller, our chairman, said that the capital of South Carolina was Charleston. Wrong, Scott. Thank you for confusing the hell out of both of us.
Okay, so Missouri's not even part of this equation then.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh, it is. Okay, so
it is. This particular question, which state capital has the most letters? 13. Hint, they average 13 inches of snow a winter. We thought that it was Columbia as the capital of Missouri. It is not. It is this particular city that is the capital. At least I'm trusting Scott that what he's saying here is correct. So what is the capital of Missouri? I'm gonna Google this one too.
You've left me so confused. I'm trying to think of the 13 letters capital right now.
Right. The capital
And it's the
of
capital
Missouri
of Missouri. What
has
is the
13
capital
letters.
of Missouri? I can't believe I'm not getting this. I'm not cheating here. It's not like I'm
All right. He's right. He's right. This particular question, capital of Missouri, he is absolutely correct that this is the right city.
I'm drawing an absolute blank on this.
All right. The capital of Missouri is Jefferson City.
Jefferson City, yes.
Informally known as Jeff City.
Yeah, okay.
Population 43,079. I know that wasn't part of the question, but
all right, but here's the thing. Okay, never mind. I don't want. You're right. Jefferson City is 13
But we went
letters.
back. But when we went the question about the S and C's, he had Charleston, and Charleston. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Now I'm. Charleston could also be another state capital. I just realized this.
Let's.
Sorry about that,
I'm
Scott.
cheating here. Hold on. I'm cheating here. So hold on.
I just realized that Charleston could be another state capital, and
Right.
I
No. Columbia is the capital of South Carolina. Okay.
Right.
So I was right to begin with. Okay.
right.
And Jefferson City is the 13-letter capital that starts with the letter J,
Correct.
and that's for Missouri. So we've settled that. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
But Charleston is a state capital. I beg forgiveness to to the chairman. I was the one who screwed up. But yes, Charleston is a state capital for another
West
state.
Virginia.
West Virginia. There you go. So therein the confusion is not confused anymore.
Right. Okay. Next question.
You really want to continue with
Yeah,
this?
no, absolutely. I'm having too much fun here. Next question.
Question 4, an actual Jeopardy question. This was worth $2,000. Name the 2 state capitals that end in the letter U.
In the letter U?
The letter U.
Oh my God. Oh.
And I will give you a hint. They are the last 2 states of the Union.
Oh, well, Hawaii then. Oahu.
Right. What's the name? No. That's the island.
Honolulu.
Honolulu.
Land of Goshen.
Fred and Ethel is still trying to get to Honolulu.
Exactly, because they had to go on the Freddie Fillmore show.
Exactly.
All right, what's the other one that ends in a letter U? And it's Alaska?
Our vast 49 state. Juneau.
Okay.
That's how Juneau.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Keith James, you got it right. Juneau. And Ethan Kerr, you got it right too.
Yes.
On the chat board. They're playing along here, which is good,
Yes.
which is always fun. Okay. So
Were they calling me out? Were they calling me out about Charleston from earlier on?
They were brutal. Oh, good Lord. Okay, go on. What's next?
That was it.
Oh, thank God.
That was it.
It's over.
That's it. It's over. Said and done.
Lord. So, Mr. Reuben Fairchild wants to know why we're not working 7-day weeks again. And he also says, what a mess this turned into. What I would agree, but we're having a good time here. So you know what? You got to lighten up just a little bit, okay? We're having fun.
Mr. Reuben Fairchild also said someone didn't read the cue cards
Well,
Mrs. Rayo holds up.
I will give him that. That I'll give him. Oh, good Lord.
Hey, look, she came all the way downstairs from upstairs. She's watching upstairs right now. She came downstairs to tell me that I never got around to answering the question about the Chinook and the Santa Ana, and then she went back upstairs again. So there
Well,
you go.
you should just have like an elevators for her to just kind of, come down, make an appearance, the doors open, just like Carol Merrill sending,
Yeah,
open the doors, the door number 1, door number 2. You should
exactly.
have
I don't even watch the new Let's Make a Deal, because the new Let's Make a Deal, they have like 13 different models, sexy models, and also, and I'm saying to myself, for me, it was Carol Merrill. That's all. That's all I needed.
and they
It was
only
Carol Merrill.
and they only went to they only have unlike the old Let's Make a Deal where they would have 2 people picking 3 doors. Okay,
Right.
they only have 1 person that they pick to take the big deal.
Right.
And
Right.
I've seen the show a couple of times. I haven't only because I happened to walk into a place that had it on from time to time. And
There was a Let's Make a Deal a while back. I think it was on either Game Show Network or Buzzer. There are two cable stations now that have old game shows on them, and this lady who probably has long since gone to her reward. She looked like she was in her 80s, and she wanted a car. This was the thing that she wanted. She desperately wanted to come away with a car, and she managed to be one of the 2 contestants to try for the big deal. So she picked like door number 2. Door number 3 was chosen by a young couple who were dressed like Mickey and Minnie Mouse. And so Monty Hall first showed them what was behind door number 1. Neither one of them picked that. And then he points to the old lady and says, "You pick door number 2." And then he points to the Mickey and Minnie and says, "And you pick door number 3." And he said, "And we're going to see what's behind door number 2." What did he do? He made it sound like he was good, like the old lady won the big deal, and as it turned out, the old lady did not win the big deal, and they started her off with like 100 yards of mohawk carpet. You know, you remember that 100 yards? They used to have like with the little Indian and the one feather sticking out of his head.
You just also reminded me of Sue Bee Honey.
And the old lady is like standing there like, now what the hell am I going to do with 100 yards of carpet or whatever like that? And then Jay Stewart said, let's say her name was Matilda. He says, "Oh, Matilda, you're going to need a way to take that carpeting home in your brand new car." And like the whole audience went absolutely berserk. They went crazy. And the woman, you wouldn't think like an 80-something-year-old woman could go down the stairs that fast and jump into the car, but there she was. And like when it was all over, everybody's like screaming and yelling still, and he turns around to Mickey and Minnie says, "Oh, and we didn't even get to the big deal." And the big deal turned out to be a trip around the world or something.
Right.
And like nobody gave a damn about that. All they cared about was that
she
the
had
woman
her car.
got her car. It was good. And let me ask one final question. If you're a couple and you're like in your 30s, right?
Right.
And you're told you just want to trip around the world, a cruise around the world that's going to take like 47 days to complete or whatever. How do you get time off from work to take the 47 days
You don't.
off?
And what people don't realize is that on a lot of the game shows where they give away prizes, that's not cash, okay? If you win cash, it's easy because they take the taxes out. In California, you have to pay the taxes up front, and you have like 7 days to do it. So if you win a prize, you have to pay a third of the value of that prize in tax up front. You have to pay the California state tax and the federal tax. So a lot of people wind up either not accepting the prizes that they win, or they sell them. They sell them on the open market. And some of the stuff they win is a little unusual, so they might have a really tough time getting the value of it. So being on a game show and winning is fine and dandy as long as you've got the money.
And
to pay the taxes.
And Monty Hall also used to say the zonks, the prizes that were, like, the, the spaghetti tree, for example, or the double-decker school bus where they would actually weld together two buses, crazy prizes like that. After the show was over, Monty said, he says, it was by law that the person who chose and got the zonk, that was theirs. And they always had to go to that contestant and say, would you like to have a color TV instead of that zonk or whatever? Because in some cases, Monty said it cost like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 just to put those zonks together to show on television. He said, and would you believe that once or twice during the run of the show, there were actually the people who said, yeah, I think I want that double-decker bus or whatever.
Yeah.
And they would say, like, holy mackerel, they want it? It cost us like $4,000 to put the whole thing together. But by law, they want it, they take it away. It's amazing.
By the way, Mr. Ruben Fairchild asks the loaded game show question.
What is Dicker and Dicker?
Right. Of Beverly Hills. You left out of
Beverly
Beverly Hills. So that was Kenny Williams was the announcer on the Hollywood Squares, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And this was at a time when fur coats were given away as prizes, and they were a big deal if you won a fur coat. And the fur company it was Dicker and Dicker of Beverly Hills. And the thing was, every time he would say it, he had this deep booming voice. And, they would do the fur coat is, it's 100%, whatever it was. And of course the name of the place, and his voice which was already deep, would go even deeper. So he would say, Dicker and Dicker of Beverly Hills. And everybody would laugh. All the stars that were in the Hollywood Square and Squares and Peter Marshall, they would laugh hysterically. And the joke is that for years, I didn't understand why everybody was laughing for many, many years. And I'm no prude, okay? I think I was about 50, where one day I was just sort of sitting around idly thinking about stuff like this, and it suddenly hit me, the double entendre, that it was. So, and I think back now to some of those shows and cartoons and some of the lines that they would often repeat that I didn't understand. I never really quite understood why they considered it funny. And, the sad part is that it took me till I was well into my 50s to figure out why in the name of God those things were funny. So
it's like that Bugs Bunny on MeTV I saw a couple of weeks ago, where the floor walker, who sounds like the great Gildersleeve,
Gildersleeve,
the radio thing, Gildersleeve, and he called him the great Gilder Sneeze.
Yes.
And like Bugs Bunny is dressed up like a woman, and the floor walker comes up to Bugs Bunny and says, "Oh, a customer says, can I help you, miss?" And Bugs Bunny says, "I'd like to see something nice in a pair of bedroom slippers." The guy said, "Confidentially,
so would I." Oh Lord! By the way,
I did.
By the
Yes.
way, the having those headsets on, you cannot hear Mrs. Rayo, the Macy's intercom.
Yes.
Just so you know.
It's my mother, so I'm going to have to cut this off now.
Okay, mother's calling. Wish her all the best from me.
I will.
All right, folks.
Commercial.
I know we kind of carried it on a little bit when the weather is like this. We get off on tangents. We just have a good time. That's what this show's about, really. The Joe and Joe show's about weather, and it's about the atmosphere, and we get into the astronomy questions and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, it's also about having a good time. And sometimes, we do have lives. We are human, which is why, Mr. Ruben Fairchild, we don't work 7 days a week. And no, we're not going to suddenly decide that only one of us will take a day off, because then it would just be the Joe show and not the Joe and Joe show. Okay?
I know you had such a tough time that one time when we had our last significant snowfall, that heavy snow, and it took me all afternoon to get rid of it, and I just couldn't do the show that night. And you went on solo, and you said, "This is the last time I'm going to do this."
And I used to do this show by myself before I brought you on, and that was fine. But I'm so used to having I'm used to having my better half with me, so I can't. It's hard for me to. It's hard enough for me to do the show when we're both together. With everything I'm doing here with the switching and the audio and everything else, but yeah, I'll do the show alone if there's a day, if we do is Friday and Saturday and there's nothing, and we've taken the day off, or you can't be here and there's weather going on, I may jump in and do a quick live stream on one of those days. But if there's no weather going on, especially this time of year, I mean, we need 2 days off just like everybody else. So
Exactly.
on that note, let us thank David Fuller and the chairman for hitting Super Chat tonight. Thank you very much indeed. And
I apologize for screwing up the questions tonight, Scott.
106 likes. We haven't hit the 100 likes in the last couple of weeks, so it's nice that we hit that. So we appreciate that greatly. Joe and I will be back tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern time. So be sure to come back and get another lesson in state capitals and old game shows.
Yes.
And God knows whatever else we wind up thinking about and going off on tangents. So have a great night, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Good night.